By a raise of hands, how many of you actually learned everything you need to know about sex education in high school? I know I didn't. In high school, I had one of the worst sex education programs, and I did a research project on it my senior year. Supporting and learning about sex education isn't only important for you, but for your future kids, your future partners, and your younger siblings. That is why today I'll be speaking about why I and you should think sex education should be in high school as a required course, because it lowers STI rates, lowers pregnancy rates, and the prevalence of sex abuse. The current conditions in the United States, according to Guttmacher Institute, indicate that only 27 states and DC require HIV and sex education. Only 17 out of those require the information be medically accurate, and only 9 stress the importance of consent. This obviously creates a large disparity of information among teens, and the states that weren't listed in the statistics either have no program or they have an abstinence-only program. According to Erica Sikosi, an author of Efficacy of Sex Education in Adolescents in the U.S., she states that in areas without a program or abstinence only, teens can be up to 50% more likely to become pregnant. This is because they have no information how to prevent pregnancy, and they're simply told not to do it. Obviously, abstinence is the best way to prevent pregnancy, but you can't expect millions of American teens not to have sex just because you told them not to. Another problem, she states, is STIs. Students in these areas are also more likely to get STIs and not to go to the doctor to get tested. This is because they have no idea what they are, what they look like, they don't know how to prevent the spread with condoms, and they don't know where to get tested. The final problem I'll be speaking about is sexual abuse. Erica Sikosi states that there was a study done in the United States on education programs with consent, and she concluded that in areas without the consent part of the education program, students were more likely to get assaulted. And this is because they don't know really what consent is or what consent isn't, and by implementing that into the program, students will more likely not become abusers or become abused. This is why it needs to be required in high schools, because younger siblings and future kids need this information to lead healthy and safe lives. And when I say sex education, I mean a full semester course. And some people may ask, well, why does it need to be that long? Well, in my case, my education program was one day where we were shown STI pictures and just told not to do it. I didn't learn anything that day. People tend to forget all the topics that need to be covered in a course. All STIs, all contraceptives, all anatomy, consent. There needs to be lots of open discussion and information if you're LGBT. With this program, students will be able to learn and be knowledgeable about sex and when they want to have it. Sex and STI rates, or pregnancy and STI rates, will go down, and so will sex abuse victims as well. This can be shown by all of the stats that I listed earlier. Now, finally, I'll be speaking about some arguments against sex education. One argument is that people believe that if we teach teenagers about sex, that they'll just have it earlier. When Debbie Allis, an associate professor of education at Deakin University, states, it's actually quite the opposite. When teens are taught about sex and the seriousness of engaging in activity and the consequences of if it's not done safely, they actually delay the onset of sex. Another argument is that parents should be the one that teach sex education. While I agree that parents should teach alongside a program still needs to be in place because parents have all different kinds of values, beliefs, and facts about sex to teach their kids, and some kids maybe get a really good education program and some kids may get none at all. This would only contribute to the problem of disparity of information. All in all, sex education needs to be a required course for at least a semester because it lowers STI rates, pregnancy rates, and the prevalence of sexual abuse to an extent. What you can do is support local lawmakers and education representatives that want to change the way we teach this in high schools. I know I would want my future partners, future kids, and younger siblings to be fully aware on how to be safe during sex. Don't let your kids become a statistic. Support sex education.